My name's Alan, and I'm the General Manager for the global direct-to-consumer business in Mead Johnson. And personally, I've been in RB for 8 years. I've lived in China for 5.5. I'm Singaporean, I'm not Chinese. And I've been around the world. I am one of the unique individuals that have done both Durex, which is sexual well-being and family planning, and now I'm doing baby formula. So kind of interesting, right? And today, I just want to talk about content, because let me explain a little bit about direct-to-consumer, okay? We compete with everybody. We compete with Walmart, who is also carrying Enfamil. We compete against Target. We even compete against ourselves, which is people from Amazon who are doing the e-tailing stuff, because we believe that direct-to-consumer is the most accretive in terms of P&L for us. Today, in Mead Johnson, we run a $100 million business on direct-to-consumer, and we take it very, very seriously. So just talk a little bit about Mead Johnson. We are the #1 brand in infant and child nutrition in the world, and RB recently acquired Mead Johnson, and we feel that we have the complete portfolio now to serve moms. When we look at the entire gamut of things that we could do from a mom, and if you look into the birth rates in North America, it's about 3.5, maybe 3.8 million a year that come into this category. New moms, and we have about 1.5, 1.8 million in our database, so we have a significant portion of it, and we have the ability to now address that full range. So from Mucinex, which is the #1 cold and flu formula medication in America, children's Mucinex, Enfamil, Durex, of course, it's a very, very small brand in America, but in the rest of the world, we are the #1 sexual well-being brand. In addition to that, there is immunity support, airborne and digestive advantage, and Lysol and Dettol. Talk about Enfamil.com. So some of you may know that direct-to-consumer is really about people buying from the website, right? But what is this job that we do? How difficult it is? I have to tell you, it is a very high-pressure job. Because what we do is we monitor every day who is selling what in terms of our SKUs. We monitor every day what is portfolio availability across all our retailers. Now, because I have infinite shelf, someone was talking about top SKUs, or what we call must-stock lists. Yeah, I don't have any top SKUs. I sell long tail. In fact, I want to do long tail. My whole entire portfolio is significantly different from that of normal retail. They do a lot of what we call powder, and that is their base. All right. I actually have a very large business in metabolics, which is specialty. People who, children who have special feeding problems, maple syrup disease, allergy to cow's milk, and so on. And that is 1/3 of my business, whereas the total business is actually quite small. Now, we have a whole range what we call ready-to-use, or infant in liquid form, milk drinks, yeah, if you like. And they do about 5, maybe 6%. This is half my total business. And I love it. You know why? Because using digital, I can drive the penetration of those. And digital provides us with a lot of unique opportunities right across the whole entire portfolio. This week, I could be doing a promo on anti-reflux, which is what we call spit up, right? There are babies who kind of like, drink, and then they have some reaction and they throw up, right? And over 20% of newborns actually do have spit-ups and colic issues. And they just can't find the solutions in retail. They just can't find it. What we do is we use various media to target them. And when they are targeted, they would buy, and the call to action is to come to our store. They buy within 2 days, maximum 3 across zone 1s all the way to 6. We have the ability to fulfill. What's also important is customer service. So the number one thing in D2C is customer service. We have an 80-person call center based in Evansville, Indiana, and we call them the family of experts. And what they do every day, all day, is talk to people, try and understand what their feeding issues are, and not being judgy. People like breastfeeders also called up and say, hey, I've got a problem, you know, my baby's not latching. I have issues with, you know, for example, worry about her volume and things like that, right? And whether she's feeding enough. And we say, look, right, maybe you should try this, maybe you should try that. Now, let's talk about MPDs, because I think that was one thing that was raised this morning. We are planning and we launch exclusively only on D2C for MPDs. Whatever that comes out from R&D and all our labs, they are first tested on D2C. Why? Because we have the most data. D2C gives you everything that you need in order for you to run your business. From Google Analytics to who's looking on shelf, how much time they spend on a video, how much time they spend on site, what's the bounce rate. If you go down to, for example, sales, we know exactly every minute who's buying what ad is being responded to, what is the call to action, how many clicks, and so on. And we have algorithms running every second to optimize that. We run out an ad with 1,200 combinations of a copy, and the algorithm would tell us what works, what doesn't work. We come back, we go gangbusters on the one that it does, and there is a cost per acquisition or CPA that we work with in order for us to be successful. Again, make no bones, this is a high-pressure job. This is a very exciting job, and it's not for everyone. A lot of comments around, you know, is it really worth it? Well, I've only taken this job for 2 months, maybe 2.5, right? And recently moved out from, you know, the category, the household category, 2 years in North America, and I spent 5 doing Durex in China, right? Is it worth it? It's very worth it. It is also very different, right? Because every single country that you go to, the way that we engage with consumers, the way that we market to these people are completely different. Now, this is about content. And how do you build that perfect content for your pages? Now, if you look across the portfolio, obviously there's a home page, but you know, when I first took over this brand, Enfamil, I noticed that there weren't any buy now buttons. How do you do direct consumer if you had no buy now buttons, right? And brand was really worried, no, you cannot put buy now buttons all over our web page. You know, this is a no-no, right? Why? I mean, you're gonna make money, right? Look, I have no brand affinity, I'm not a marketeer, I only work with data. And if people are clicking through, they wanna buy, I'm gonna help them to do so. I'm non-judgmental, I'm totally data-driven. But call to actions are very important. This is your digital shelf, and so you need a whole range of very good imagery, including very nice ads that you put online to hook people to come and discover and enjoy your products. And if you take a look at the kind of content that we have, this is what we call a PDP, or a product description page, right? You may find that there's a whole lot of information going on down here, but this is what we call above the fold, all right? And above the fold, it comes from a system from my colleague here, or my partner here, Salsify. They power this experience, right? and everything around that. Now, why is this so important? Remember, we sell on 9 different retailer platforms today in America, Enfamil, yeah? And our pricing is so very important to us. Obviously, we want a price lead in certain categories, and obviously, we want our retailers to price lead in other categories in that portfolio. And we don't want to be in conflict with them. Now, if we don't have a single system that allows us to, first of all, consolidate all that information and syndicate that information equally, that will be trouble for us. Because you see, in direct-to-consumer, we not only have to collaborate with our online retailers, we have to compete against them. And we have to ensure that while we compete fairly, or sometimes more aggressively, that they don't give a phone call to our business and say, hey, what the heck are you guys doing? Yeah? Now, the second thing is about A+ content, or what we call enhanced content. Folks who work on the Amazon account, you know, they would understand this. A+ content actually is our branding. And I can't really emphasize enough, most people would never come to your brand website to ever look at your brands. For example, if we are in the grocery category, or if we are in the home and hygiene category, do people go to Lysol.com and look at what they want on Lysol? No, never. Very, very little. And I remember my experience in China many years ago. We had brands that were launching their brand websites exclusively on Tmall. And they didn't bother driving traffic to their brand websites, whatever.cn. Why? Because the place that most people end up with searching for a product is really inside a retailer, right? And that is the place that they have to discover your brands. Now, if that were true, then you would want to have the A+ content or the enhanced content sorted out really well so it contains 5 very important elements of what this means to you. The first one is you need to talk about your product benefits. Definitely product benefits are, you know, significantly important because, look, this is selling content. And without proper laid out in terms of the benefits, you can't really sell anything, can you? The second thing is versus competition. In RB, we're fiercely competitive. We're competitive even within ourselves. So think about it. You have to say very clearly how you differentiate yourselves between yourselves and your competitors. It's simple, right? And then you have brand purpose. What does your brand stand for? What is the range of products that you have in terms of your brand purpose? Fourth, manufacturer purpose or company purpose. I think we do it less here in North America, but in Asia and China and all other parts of the world who don't really know or discover or understand US brands, it's really important to say who you are. Meet Johnson. We're a 150-year company focused on innovation in child nutrition. It's simple as that. One simple line with one graphic makes a world of difference to these people. And then have great videos. So the videos that I showed are meant for TVC. They're never meant to be online. Online repurposing is very different from wherever else. Like, for example, in Facebook. Do you notice that late at night when you're scrolling through Facebook after a long day and you're looking at it and you're like, I think my wife or my husband is like sleeping, you know, I better, you know, turn the volume off or view it, right? If you turn the volume off, how are you going to enjoy the video? If you had that running on Facebook, do you know what the engagement would be? 0. People just scroll down. I can't hear a thing, so I'm not interested. What's really important? Maximum 30 seconds, subtitles. A lot of people view it only at night, imagine, with their phones turned off, the volumes turned off, right? And they need to see subtitles. So the repurposing of all this content has to be, number one, channel specific, and it has to be towards the audiences that you're trying to speak to. And those are really important points. And there's another point that we call B+ content. So B+ content is really around for those very special retailers. I shouldn't name names, but their ability to take enhanced content below the fold is not very good. And these are the ones that you kind of put up next to your product pack shots, right? That kind of tell you, in short, what are these benefits of your product. To be honest, this is very basic, very standard. If you don't have it and you're a manufacturer, please do not list, because it damages your brand equity, it damages your product equity, right? And you don't want to be in that situation where they would say, I think someone unknown from somewhere else is doing a better job in content than you as the manufacturer. And this is really your branding. Now, I know we're talking about 6 Ps, and Danny was saying, we really have 6, but in RB we focus on 4, and maybe 1/5, which is content. It's the 5th one, right? But if we look at where the 4 Ps lie, or the 5th P, we look at pricing. And like I mentioned, pricing, if you price this incorrectly, especially in D2C, consumers are not dumb. We have an algorithm that runs every day that does this, okay? This is item EDLP, or everyday low price. This is the case count. And we sell cases as well as it eaches. You have item EDLP multiplied by the case count equals to case EDLP. If this case EDLP is higher or lower than your case selling price, you will have to adjust, because people buy on volume. Online, the whole entire buying mentality is different. So pricing is super important. You need to run algorithms. These algorithms need to run every hour. Someone talked about search ranking. I can't emphasize enough, right? Search ranking is the #1 thing that people are going to discover your product. If you talk about people who are searching for things on Amazon, that is going, someone said Amazon this morning, AMS, would I throw 80% of that? Absolutely, right? Because people use the search bar to find things. Google PLAs, Bing PLAs, these are all important inside the whole entire strategy. Promotion. We don't do a heck of a lot of promotion, but D2C offers a lot of promotional capability. It allows you to do virtual bundles. For the guys who are trading also on Amazon, you know that if you do a bundle with Amazon, you have to embellish, before you send that finally to Amazon and they will accept it as a bundle. We don't have such a thing in D2C, right? I can have 25 different combinations of different bundles and all that, and I don't have to embellish. It's cheap for me. It's a virtual bundle. When we ship, we just offer the price break. And more importantly, portfolio availability, or what we call placement. So here's where I have the advantage. If Amazon goes out of stock and we lose the buy box, I pick it up. If Target or Walmart goes out of stock for that item, I have a little signal, thank you, Clavis, and I run media to go pick it up, and I target Walmart in that location of shoppers that want and are looking for it, and then I sell it. Why? I'm infinite shelf. My fulfillment center is right next to the factory. I don't go ever out of stock, all right? And that's one tactic in which you can acquire lost opportunity, because what they would say is that lost buy box opportunity could cost you millions of dollars. And how do you pick that up? Very simple, run targeting. And targeting has to be accurate. You have to pixel everything. And when you pixel everything, you know exactly what people are coming off. You use that intelligence to reach out to them and encourage them to buy. Now, content goes back to the principles of SEO titles. And again, you know, my partner here from Salsify would talk about having these titles being optimized because they go everywhere. They go to Walmart, they go to Target, they go to Amazon, and they also get picked up by Google, right? If, for example, you put out a title that says, Enfamil Premium 20 cal. Okay, that's not very helpful. Why? Because you're not saying what it's used for. You're not saying that it's a milk powder. You're not saying that it comes in a case of 4. You're not saying that it's available from where to where. Or you're not saying that, you know, it is specially for toddlers or infants. So your search title and how you name that on the retailer is significantly important. The search engine doesn't pick it up, you will never sell a thing. Enhanced content, Clevis runs a report, right? It tells you which one has enhanced content and which one doesn't. If you go to another solution that we're using is called Web Collage, you go to Web Collage, you pull out your enhanced content report, you would note that those that are poorly done don't convert. There's a huge gap between, for example, potential and what you could have sold, and those that are not well laid out, they don't convert. What if you didn't have enhanced content? Then they don't convert online, and you'll be wasting your time. And lastly, ratings and reviews. So some of you guys use Bazaar Voice. Bazaar Voice is interesting. You kind of collect everything into one space and then you syndicate out. Now, we have an average rating of about 4.3 to 4.5 out of 5 stars on all our products. We take this very seriously. Why? Because people who don't know your brands actually read reviews. And if you have terrible reviews on your website, you're done for. There's no recovery from that. You have to make sure that, first of all, you have a sampling program going out, making sure that all these people who try your product say nice things. So what do? You get them to say nice things and you send them more nice things, right? You gotta kind of bribe people, right, these days. But reviews, if they come out genuine and there is an adverse event that's happening, you have to react like this. So people are saying, for example, my baby had a tummy ache after drinking this formula, she has to go to the hospital. We react like this, right? Immediately someone from the 60-person call center would call that person out, reach out to that person. Even I've known instances where we would send somebody to go help the mom bring the baby to a hospital because she was not, she didn't get enough help, right? We go the extra mile. And in D2C, you have to go the extra mile. You can't sit behind any retailer and expect that they would do the job. All these implications or all these measures that come out from Clevis have implications. These implications, for example, incorrect pricing, you have to go to sales and say, look, I think you need to up or down. My EVP says that we should have the ability to change these pricings 50 times a day if we wanted to. Number one, can finance handle that? Yeah. If you have SAP running, can you handle that? Yeah. Is your financial policies or practices allowing you to change pricing 50 times a day? And you have to really streamline this because the difference between that in an hour could be $10,000 worth of sales. Search ranking, obviously, you know, you run media. If you waste a lot of media dollars on the wrong targeting or the wrong strategy, what could it cost you? $20,000 an hour. That's what it costs you for running a Facebook ad that doesn't target the right person in that category. Promotional uptake is weak. You have to ensure that, obviously. And portfolio availability, again, you know. like I said, we take note of other people's weakness to make it our opportunity. If Walmart goes out of stock, I want to make sure I target them and I get the sale. And that's fairly important to us. And obviously, content, we work in collaboration with brand management to bring out better and better engaging videos. And look, right, you must be thinking, I have a whole army of people. I've got like, maybe 50, maybe 60 people, right? I run global D2C with 6 people. 6 people, right? How do I do it? Machines. In D2C, it's all about machines. It's about AI, machine learning, and algorithms. And all of this needs to be working in concert with each other. You set up automatic tracking. You then have workflow actions that feed into other systems that do other jobs automatically and do remediations automatically. You have pricing alerts that kind of tell you what's happening. And if you really want to be fancy, you run an algorithm that ups your pricing or downs your pricing every other hour. Portfolio availability alerts, we get those alerts every day. We adjust our targeting and promo alerts. And think about it. All these alerts do mean a certain action required by someone in the various parts of the business, right? And you need to feed that into those systems so that they can track that. If it's done by a human being, if it's not, then you have to build an interface between that and another system to get that done. And again, coming back to the content situation, what do you have to fix? Poor product descriptions, incorrect images because you're not running the correct copy on advertising, right? You have to fix presence on enhanced content. People are not converting, right? And you're running a promo. Imagine this, right? Today you're running a promo on something on Facebook, right? And you don't take care of your PDP. Or they're driven to Amazon and it doesn't have enhanced content. What will happen? You just ran a $100,000 campaign on Facebook, and Facebook will tell you, it's okay, we've got cost per acquisition in, 1,200, it's fine. Facebook doesn't really care about you in terms of driving performance. They just want your money to run the ads. All right, you have to worry about it. And if you redirect your stuff to a poor PDP or a poor site that doesn't have the best content, you'll be wasting your money and your time. And again, we set budgets and limits every day on how much we would spend on advertising, and we optimize that every day. And of course, the product tagging, if you tag that wrongly or incorrectly, then search doesn't pick it up, your placement ads don't work. So really what you have to do is to set up an ecosystem of expert systems that work in tandem with each other. And instead of having a large team, maybe 100 people working on D2C, you have a small team and you let machines do the job for you. And of course, the machines can do it more efficiently, more cleverly than ever you can. And plus, you don't have to pay them overtime. They work 24/7, right? No labor costs. How do you grow the business? You have to be super 100% aligned to how and why and what is the purpose you're trying to play. Because every single way of the drivers and capabilities that you need to build and the benefits that you get from your organization is going to be very different. Like, for example, if you didn't want to drive D2C, this would look very different. Because then you have the brand people and the equity, and you have to split between marginalizing your retailers and all that. And, frankly, that doesn't really play well with me. I'm super sharp, super clear on what we're trying to do. We're trying to boost revenue. We're trying to get incremental growth. And we're trying to increase order affinity. right? And when you look at that, what are the drivers that you need? You need to do demand generation. You need to manage customer and order really, really carefully down to the last consumer. Content, which is super important because that is your shelf. I remember people talking about planograms in the offline world. This is your planogram, yeah? And product management, of course, MPDs. MPDs will be your single biggest differentiator between you and the retailer. And you know what? You can run short runs. I can launch a product today with only 1,000 units. I get the insights from those 1,000 units, and I can build the next million. And that is going to be super important for a business that is fast moving. And then the benefits, obviously, you have the CRM, the scalability, and the brand penetration very quickly. You can turn things on and off like a switch. So how does that feed? Like I said, you know, all of it feeds back into the D2C model, and from the D2C model, we optimize wherever we are. We have a lot of feeds going in and out of the systems, but I want to highlight that in particular, Clavis and Salsify, these are the two cornerstone systems that we have that allows us to manage the whole entire e-commerce ecosystem. I'd like to introduce Doug from Salsify.
Thank you very much, Alan. The reason why my name is Doug Bolzinski, and I run the global account team for Salsify. Pleasure to be here. The reason why we're here today, we actually work and partner very closely with Clavis, very closely with RB, as well as our brands, to make sure there's a closed loop process. So that your customers and your product experience that you're delivering to those customers is really kind of what you need and what you demand. To give you a little bit background of Salsify, so Salsify is a platform that actually empowers brands to make sure they can deliver the experience that your customers demand. Our customers go through multiple different brands, multiple different verticals. I have 3 daughters who are in dance class, and one of the things they consume a lot of is makeup. And it's amazing kind of the experience they go through, and how they don't just go to a store and buy makeup, which is kind of what I thought. It's that digital experience is critical to them, right? How does it work with their skin? Where can they go through it? You know, the complexion, and going through that experience, and how my kids actually look to do that is absolutely critical. They're a customer of ours to be able to do that, you know, globally as well too, from big brands to small brands too. So when we talk about the closed loop service, and again, we work very closely with Clavis, is we can be able to take your digital assets, your content, we'll then be able to feed that into Clavis and have a connection interface with Clavis. So they can look at what's going on in the retail aspect, whether it's 10 channels or 2 channels or hundreds of channels, then be able to look and set up tasks based upon that product experience and how you want to be able to change that and be able to change that real time for your customers. So you can be able to then come back, directly figure out what the content is, and be able to make sure it's edited. When we look into the system itself, when you would log in, the individual would actually see their tasks that they have, be able to know what those tasks are for individuals. When they'd be able to jump into the task, they're then able to then look at the content or the items that they need to work on and change. In this case, with sneakers, be able to change, maybe it was the font size or the wording or the digital image. And then once you've been able to do that, you're then able to then republish and re-syndicate back out whatever retailers you need to do. So that in real time, the experience that your customers have and the interactions that they have with your brand online is very consistent, and it's a very close standpoint.